Hi, everybody. I hope you're well. I'm Paul. I'm one of the founders and architects of Breakout Beauty and Breakout Wellness. I feel like I'm talking into the void a little bit, but I believe you're all out there. So today's session is very much to talk you through an introduction as to what Breakout Wellness is, what an accelerator program is if you aren't used to it. I'll give an overview of who we are, what we do, why we've got this. And then there's an opportunity at the end to ask a few questions. I know I've been getting a lot of questions on Instagram and emails through, so it's an opportunity just to ask all the questions. If you've got dumb questions, great, they're probably not. But I'm just going to quickly share some slides just to give me a little bit of structure. And if you've got any questions, please also put them into the chat. Right, I'm hoping you can see my screen. So, Breakout Wellness. What we do as a company, so our company is called Growth Studio. We have a number of accelerator programs, Breakout Beauty, Breakout Wellness, and a few others down the pipeline. Our promise to people like you, to founders like you, is that we put together programs that help you get backable, scalable, investable, and ultimately retail ready. So what we want to do is work with companies like yours that are founder-led brands that aren't already in national retail. And over the course of the 8 or 10 or 12-week programs that we run, we really try and give you the foundational skills for everything that you need to grow and scale your business. Now, right now, probably you've got some traction, you've got a great brand, you've got all the right ingredients to make a mainstream brand, but you've probably not done one before. You probably don't know how to navigate retail. You've never had to raise investment. You don't know if you need money or not. You don't know where you should focus your attention as a founder. And these are all the things that we try and accomplish through the program. In terms of our experience, we've been running startup accelerators like this for over 10 years now. We've worked with, it's actually coming up to 3,000 startups. We've done nearly 100 programs. We work with some of the biggest companies in the world, Boots. We've worked with Tesco. We work with Amazon. We've helped governments from the local governments in the UAE to Latvia to the UK. So we're quite experienced with a wide selection of different business models, challenges, brands, products, product stages. So if you've got an interesting company or problem, we've probably worked with something similar somewhere in the world. And in terms of some of the brands that we've worked with, you might recognize some of the names here. So everyone from Surrey that we started working with just before they had a product, Omni Pets and Seep, you may have seen on Dragon's Den, NIMBY that are just rolled out to 200 odd boot stores. In terms of consumer brands, we've worked with some great names over the years who were once upon a time in a position like you. And the whole journey started about 2.5 years ago in consumer. We were working on a project with Boots to try and make it easier for founders to get into retail. And we did a lot of research in the beauty world, and we found that there are some consistent themes and challenges that founders like you had. One, retail is unbelievably complex. The view that you pitch a buyer, they like your product, they put it on shelf, and then you start selling is just mythical. The complexities of getting into retail are starkly harsh. It's very difficult, as you probably might know, to find the right retailer, to pitch them in the right way, to understand what they're looking for. Once you get onto shelf, that's kind of where the hard work begins, because it's incumbent on you as a founder to drive sales, not the retailer. And if you don't, they'll delist you. Getting into retail is incredibly expensive. And the reality is that if you are bootstrapping, you probably don't have the funds to go from D2C or, D2C and TikTok and Amazon all the way through to 10, 50, 100, 300 stores. And you'll need capital or money to be able to do that. Some people go for investment, other people go for debt. But what money do you raise at the right time? Where do you go about getting that money? What should you be looking for? What does that money go to? Again, there was a blind spot that we saw. The third one is, as a founder, you've got 1,000 pressures on your time. You don't know where to put your time, where to start, how to scale. And the fourth one is that you are constantly needing to drive more sales at a lower cost. And so one thing we also want to do is help people understand what's the foundations of a really solid business. So the 4 issues that we faced: how to sell more, how to get into retail, how to raise money to afford getting into retail, and how to continue being a good founder, were problems we found time and time again. And last year we created a program, Breakout Beauty, to try and confront those head on. We've just launched our second Breakout Beauty program. It's in week 4, which is a 12-week program to try and get the best founders into scaling into Boots. And when we first launched that, we realized that there's a lot of similar challenges and nuances to the wellness world. So we decided to run our very own wellness program. Now, the wellness program has the same ambitions. How do we get brilliant founders in wellness? How do we help them scale into retail, raise the right money, stay compliant and regulated and ethical, overcome some of the challenges that you've probably seen around marketing, around packaging, around what you can and can't claim, and also try and put in solid foundations for your business. The program is open now in terms of the applications are open. Applications close on the 18th of August. It takes about 20 or 25 minutes to do the applications, and we ask quite a lot of questions from you. And the reason we ask all the questions around, when you started, around your projected revenue, around the channels, is just so we can fully assess whether or not you're the right fit for the program and whether or not we can help you as much as we want to, because it's a lot of time for you to spend on the program. We want to make sure we're getting the right people and you're getting out what you want from it. The program launches and kicks off on the 22nd of September with a big event in London where we're going to be bringing 150 people from the wellness world of media, retail, investment, supporters, our partners and ambassadors, to officially launch the program and introduce you to the wellness ecosystem that we've got. And over the 8 weeks until the 19th of November, we'll be working on all of the foundations of your business, which I'll get to in a second. And the program culminates in a big finale event, which will be an evening event in London, where again, all of you will be standing up and pitching your business on stage to that room full of ecosystem partners, so that hopefully you can, accelerate your journey into retail or raising investment. The types of people we're looking for, we get a lot of questions on this. So first of all, for me, it starts with the founder more so than the brand, the product, the solution. I'm looking for founders who are really motivated to build a big mainstream business, who ideally have some sort of relevant experience. They've either come from the beauty or wellness world, they've worked in startups before, they're a marketeer or a social person, they've got some relevance to their experience or their life experiences that give you and your brand a unique, unfair advantage. I'm looking for people with the X factor, that have something special about who they are or what they do or what they're passionate about. I'm looking for really good stories. So are you or your brand PRable in some way? Have you got a really interesting or compelling story? I think particularly in wellness, I'm really interested into your why. Why did you start this? What motivated you to start this? Why are you different or better or more interesting than other people that have applied? Ideally, we're looking for brands with traction, and traction means that you're already in market, you're selling, and people are buying you consistently. The benchmarks we look at, ideally the brands that are selling between £100,000 and 3 to 4 million a year, and ideally 5 or 6 SKUs. Now, in our beauty program, we had the same criteria, but actually we've got 2 businesses in there. One was pre-revenue ahead of the program, and the other one has just launched. So again, look at these as principles. If you're in that space for 100k to the 3 or 4 million, then the program is set up to really help you at that stage of business that you're at. If you're before that, that's fine. We look at every single application case by case. And if we feel that you're on a fast trajectory, or you've got something special, or you're doing something really interesting, then we'll still invite you to interviews, and there is a likelihood you can get on. If you're at 5 million or 6 million or 7 million, great. We'd probably have the conversation about, some of the content might be a bit too early stage for you. But again, it all starts with the founders. Think of these as principles rather than hard and fast rules. We're looking for brands that are unique, that are disruptive, that might come already with their community, that you have some insight as to who your customers are that makes you unique or different. I'm looking for people that could be the next Salt or Groons or Lena Daily, brands that have that cult following behind them, or are exceptional or unique or different. Obviously, the program has been created so that you're able to scale and become mainstream. And with that, you've got to have retail appeal and investor appeal. So we're looking for brands that ideally want to get into retail as part of their journey. You might not have everything figured out yet. That's okay. But you've got to have a retail play. And that retail play comes from, do you have something interesting that retailers want? Are you able to sell on shelf a few months after the program? Do you have a proposition that investors are attracted to? And then finally, ambition. We're looking for ambitious founders. I'll fix that typo later. So founders that are really serious about scaling their business. You might be early stage, that's fine. You might have hit a plateau, that's okay. But if you've got the drive and the motivation and the ambition to do something exceptional and grow a brand that you want to see on shelf across the country or globally, or be the leader in your field, then that's music to my ears. Please apply. What you should think about when applying for us is we're going to give you the foundations to scale your business. We're going to really heavily raise your profile, both of you and your brand. You're going to get incredible introductions and connections to industry. And you're looking for commercial growth. Those are the motivations I think you should have for being on one of our programs. In terms of how the program works, it's an 8-week syllabus, 8-week program, and we've created it specifically for founders of wellness brands that aren't yet a national retail. And I'll go through some of the areas that we cover, but essentially there's 3 or 4 sprints. 1, do you have solid business foundations in place so that you can scale your business and get to the next level? Number 2, how to understand the retail environment, what retailers look for, how to prepare your business for getting into retail, how to pitch to retailers and buyers, what they think of, how to get on shelf, and thereafter how to drive sales once you are on shelf. The third one is capital and investment. So when you need money, where should you look for that money? How do you get that money responsibly? What are the expectations of you as a founder from a bank or an investor? And then finally, how do you sell lots more through using the channels much better at lower cost of goods to increase your profitability? We're looking for 10 founders. Sometimes it goes up to 11, but 12 is the absolute cap that we bring onto the program. At the moment, the partners attached to the program include TikTok Shop, HSBC Innovation Banking, Somos, which is one of the most respected TikTok Shop agencies, Finishing Line, one of the most respected 3PL companies. We are very close to getting a couple of retailers on the program. Watch this space. We're just trying to get contracts over the line and wet signatures, but very excited about those. And we're going to have a series of masterclasses where we teach you the core principles of growing your business, of investment, of retail readiness, that type of thing. So these are classroom-like sessions that will be virtual and online. We have fireside chats, which is where we bring experts in their field, people at the top of the game, some of our ambassador entrepreneurs to talk about their experiences or their principles or what they do and how they do. Again, these are virtual and online, but people talk about the area that they're best known for. And the view is, how can you learn from them and what can you apply to the things that they've done? And then the 2 industry events, the launch and the finale, which I've talked about. The core focus areas that we're looking for. We are looking for brands and founders that are working in the areas of women's health, of gut and nutrition, of functional food and drink, of performance, hydration and energy, people that are helping people with sleep, stress and better moods, and longevity and wellness. These are the broad categories that, based on our research, is what the market's looking for, what retailers are looking for, what's doing well in the US, which obviously has an impact here, and what's going big on TikTok Shop. If you have a wellness play that doesn't fall into any of these categories, that's okay, apply. These are just to help people identify whether or not the program's right for them. But there is a grey area between beauty and wellness. Apply if you think you're there. And if there's different categories that you fall into, that's fine. Drop us a note, apply, give us a question, and we'll happily answer and say whether or not it's relevant or appropriate for the program or not. I will share this afterwards with people here. This is a broad stroke of the types of things that we cover on the program. So first of all, building solid foundations. Do you have the right unit economics? Do you understand gross margin and cost of sale? Have you got the right setup of manufacturing, of packaging, of production, of inventory, of 3PLs? Like, are there any areas in your business that's costing you more than you should? Or are there any profit opportunities that you aren't capitalizing on? We look at this and obviously how to become an AI native business. So we look at this at the very first sprint. Second one is everything I've talked about retail and distribution strategy. How do you make sure that you are set up for retail, that retailers love you and want you? How do you understand buyer psychology? And how do you set up for success? And I think the benchmark we use is, are you able realistically to get into retail within 6 months of the program? That for us is a good benchmark because it allows you to make any adaptations to your products, your operations, your business, your packaging ahead of launching into retail, but also gives you time to go and get the capital or the fundraising or work on some fundamentals before you get there. Obviously, we focus on brand, sales, community growth, how to do what on TikTok Shop particularly, but also some of the other channels. We look at how to do PR on a shoestring, look at what your content strategy is. We have a mini sprint on compliance and regulation because it's so critically important for retail, for raising investment, for marketing, and for just operating responsibly. And I know it's challenging in wellness, but it's a really important bit. Finally, investment readiness and raising money I've talked about, but a really core part of what we do is pitching, storytelling, and sales. So we work with you as the founders of the business to make sure that you're building a really strong narrative, you've got really strong decks and pitches, you're really comfortable with public speaking. It lends itself to pitching to retailers, investors, media, press, TikTok lives. You'll be pitching for the rest of your business live. So you want to make sure that you are a magnificent pitcher and storyteller by the end of the program. We are privileged to be surrounded by some brilliant entrepreneurs that have grown their businesses, and they will all be lending their time to talk to you directly about the areas that they've grown their businesses. We'll focus on topics around how to get your first 1,000 customers, around what your TikTok Shop strategy was, about how you built community, of how you raised investment. So we've got the founders of Free Cell, Unfabled, Frood, Luna Daily, Grace and Green, Salt, Biomel, Over, The Gut Stuff, Thriver, and we've got a few more down the pipeline as well. So incredible founders that were once upon a time in your position. And they will be meeting you and sharing their experiences. And what they've been through and what they've learned is incredible. I think they're one of the most important parts of the curriculum. Top tips. For the application forms, as I said, the application form is quite weighty. It just helps us get the best grounding of who you are as a founder, of where your business is and where you want to take your business and what challenges you are. Don't pitch it us. It's not a sales channel. We just really want to know, where the business is, what your problems are, where you need help, as well as where the areas of opportunity or where you're absolutely killing it. Be clear about what the program can help you with and what you want from the program. If we can't help you, if we think that you're great enough, then it's a waste of your time being on the program. If you're really clear about your blind spots and areas of insecurity, it just helps us go, right, okay, we can really help this person. That's how we can cater our support for them. I think in all of the sectors we've worked in, and we've worked in pretty much everyone, I think in consumer, particularly wellness and beauty, a lot of founders have a lot of unhinged insecurities around. They don't think they're doing well enough. They don't think they're far enough. Every other founder will be thinking exactly the same thing. So if you're worried about, I'm too early, I'm not sure, I don't think I can do this, these are probably self-sabotaging insecurities. I think you're probably doing a great job. Very few people start a business, very few people get any traction. So you're on it already. So don't worry about that. Don't be your own worst enemy. Do your research. It sounds really stupid, but do your research on the program. Look at some of the partners that we're working with. Do a lot on Breakout Beauty. We're in our second program now. There's been a lot of information about it online. There's been a lot of press coverage. You can kind of get a view of what the program's about. This is our first wellness program, so get a view, see if it's right for you. Clear the decks. It will be intense. There'll probably be about 8 in-person days in London over the course of the program. What we try and do is condense as much information into those days as we can, just to maximize your time. And outside of those, then there's a number of virtual sessions. So it's an opportunity for you to take a step back and work on the business rather than in the business. And that's really critical. So if you're at a stage where you want to take your business to the next level, or you want to refine your next 2 years or 3 years of the business, this is a great opportunity to do that with a cohort of people that are all doing the same. If you're in doubt, apply. And the reason we say that is obviously we are looking for applications to the wellness program right now. We have a shit ton of other initiatives coming down the pipeline that might be great for you. So other programs we've got boot camps coming up as well. So if we have and obviously we've got a lot of partners as well that we work with very closely. So if you apply and you don't get on the program, but we think, okay, there's a really good introduction here to Boots or John Lewis or someone else. If we know your business and we've been through your program, we're quite happy to make those connections. So, invest the 20 minutes of time so that we've got your application, because it means we can help you or progress things, even if you don't get onto the program. Common questions we get: is it actually free? What's the catch? Yes, it is 100% free for you. No catches, no ifs, no buts, no hidden clauses. Our business model is that we run the programs for free for startups, and we go and get sponsorship or support from large companies that have a vested interest in being at the foreground of innovation or meeting new brands like retailers and banks and things like that. So it is completely free. What's the selection criteria? As I've shared, these are the types of people we're looking for. You've got to have a play in wellness. You've got to be a UK registered company. You've got to be an impressive founder. And oftentimes founders don't really know quite how impressive they are. It's often the really quite insecure ones that are absolutely amazing. They just haven't discovered that yet. Ideally a brand with traction, and people who are ambitious and want to go mainstream and go into retail. And we will shortlist about 20 brands into interviews. The interviews will be with ourselves, with retailers and investors, just so we've got a really holistic view of who the company is and the category and the area that you're trying to innovate in. And then we'll invite 10 or 12 over to join the program. Application takes about 20-25 minutes. TikTok Shop are a partner. We focus a lot on TikTok Shop because it's a place where a lot of people need to be discovered, to build community. If you're not on TikTok Shop, that's okay. If you're killing it on TikTok Shop, that's okay. If you're somewhere in between and you've dipped your toe into water, that's okay. It's not a red flag. We'll just help you do it better. As I said, if you're not sure about whether to apply, I just urge you to do that, because if we've got your details, we can help you and introduce you, or there'll be other initiatives that we've got that might be more relevant to you. I think that's everything. I'm going to come off share screen, and if you have any questions, I would love to hear them. Abby, are there any questions?
Hello, there are a couple of questions. So the first one is, would fitness accessories be eligible to join? I have a gym bag brand for women.
I would say yes. If there's the bias will be on consumer products. I think if there's a proposition for retailers to sell and distribute your products, I would say yes. We may have a fitness thing coming up in the future. So again, I would apply because it might be relevant for that. And if that's the case, we're obviously not going to get you to reapply. But yes, I would say so.
Okay, fab. And then a couple more questions just come through. So one of them is, for the video, are we able to use a clip from a podcast we were recently on? So that's part of the application process as a video.
Yeah, so the reason we do videos, the reason we ask for a video is I think we can get a better sense of a founder in a 1-minute video than a long application form. It helps us understand who you are, how passionate you are about what your business is, the personality of the founder. So what we say is, we literally don't care at all about the quality of the video at all. If you've got a shaky phone like that in a car, where you're just talking about, who you are and introducing yourself and your brand, that's fine. That's all we need. We just want to see the person behind the brand. I think if you've got snippets that you want to put in, great. If there's areas of you being great and in a professional environment, brilliant. But I would say just send us a video. I'd prefer to have a shonky video of you in bad lighting and shaky camera, just hearing who you are more so than anything too polished. It's great. You'll get a couple of brownie points, but we don't. It won't help your application if you've got hyper polished video or if you don't. Is my point I'm trying to get across. Yeah, keep the questions coming.
100%. And then we've just got a question for you saying, is there a focus on follower count? Previous applicants mentioned that was a gating criteria. Now, from my knowledge, Paul, follower count isn't something criteria wise that can make or break if someone is successful.
No, I think follower count shows two things. One, it shows that you've got interest from a market there. So if you've got millions of followers or tens of thousands of followers, it means that you're building something that people resonate with. That's a good indication that you're doing well. I think to get a follower count, it needs a shit ton of time, resource, effort, and money these days. And I know that's not what everybody has, or your focus might be elsewhere. So on the beauty program, I think followers was a important marker, because particularly with Boots, who are the exclusive sponsor for the beauty program, they have a program that helps get brands into Boots on shelf if they're trending on social. So that's one benchmark that they need to look at. We had amazing brands last year that had millions of followers and some that had absolutely none. So it's interesting. It helps tell the story of your business. It's not detrimental if you've got none, but it's interesting if you've got lots. But also, we just know the reality of creating a business these days. So don't worry. It's not you won't be penalized if you don't. I just want to understand why you don't. Is it a time? Is it resource? Is it something else? It's just context, I guess.
Definitely. And then
sorry on that, just the two winners of Breakout Beauty last year. One was Aram, who's got millions of followers. She is a social, she was an influencer before she was a product entrepreneur. Make Waves, we're killing it online. Had loads of sales, but really low following count. So it doesn't matter.
And then a couple more questions. One being, do you accept brands that are pre-revenue but have strong pre-orders or waitlist demand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we try and think of is, I said there's two brands on the current beauty cohort. One was pre-revenue and only started selling products the week before the program started. The other one had only started in March, so it's relatively new. I think if you're doing something innovative in the space, if you're a brilliant founder that we believe can generate and get those sales quickly, or if you've got some evidence to suggest, even though you're early, there is demand, that's really good. So yeah, if you're pre-launch but you've got traction, that's great. I feel I'm being really ambiguous here. Basically, we look at every single application case by case. I think if you're if you have 50,000 in sales, but you've been in business for 7 or 8 years, I think that's us demonstrates that maybe you haven't been able to scale the business, or there hasn't been that resource or ambition. I think that's very different to if you launch 9 months ago and have 60,000 or 100,000 pounds of sales. It shows that you've sold considerable amount over the course of time. So every single data point that you give us gives us context as to where you are in the journey, about what that headroom and white space is, and where you are in your business. And if you've been in business for a few years but you've decided to turn around, that's also interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I suppose that feeds, you've kind of already answered this one about if someone's under the 100k revenue quote unquote requirement, but obviously we look at everyone's application case.
Yeah, it's fine. Also with wellness, it is a growing category. It's suddenly exploded.
Mhm.
We've seen a lot of new brands start up very quickly. You've got brands like Salt and Free Soul and Luna Daily. They're opening the doors for a new generation of founders to come in. So I think particularly in wellness compared to beauty, there are a lot more earlier stage brands. That's fine.
For sure. And then we've just got one more question here. I'm just trying to, so they're a beauty brand, but they do have a section where they operate kind of in wellness as well. But they're trying to shift more into wellness over beauty, I think, if I can make that out right. They're asking whether they should definitely still apply. They also applied for Breakout Beauty but weren't successful.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Yes, you should. I think if you want to drop Abby your details, and we'll pull up the application form. I think that there's definitely a convergence between beauty and wellness at the moment. They're not as distinct categories as they used to be. I think if you're a beauty brand that has a wellness play, it's definitely interesting. I think just in your application form, just say that you applied for the beauty program, and we'll look at your application in the context of wellness. We might ask you to, actually, we probably will need you to reapply with some of the details, because we're really interested to know about any claims, any regulation, any compliance, that type of thing. But yeah, there's definitely a convergence. And again, if we feel that actually there's much more of a beauty than a wellness play and the program might not be relevant to you, I think what we can do is just, again, we've got beauty specific things coming up and wellness specific things coming up, so we can still help you.
Cool. So I think, unless anyone has any questions, that is all the questions. I think, Paul, just leave everyone who's thinking of replying maybe just like three top tips of what they should do now to make their application stand out.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at to apply, have a look at Breakout Beauty. As I said, there's lots of stuff online. Have a look at our Instagram Breakout. You get a sense of who we are and what we do and the experience that founders have. Be really honest in your application form, warts and all. This is ultimately here to find, nurture, support, and scale brilliant founders with great potential. We don't expect you to have everything right. So we're looking for people that have a lot of the right ingredients. They just need support. I think the second one is be really clear about why you want this program. As I said, it's 8 weeks out of your life. It is quite intensive. We think it's brilliant. Obviously, we're biased. It's a really good opportunity to focus on your business. So just really think about what you want out of the program, what those success metrics are, and what the next 12 or 24 months look like. And then the third one is with the video, just short video, giving us a sense of who you, the personality, is, because that's really important. It's all about the founders in the early stages. Abby, have you got any more reflections on that?
I don't think so. I think you've summarized it well. I think, yeah, a lot of people I know from beauty, I was getting a lot of questions about the video. And as Paul said, some people, go really creative and do this whole sort of production, but you don't have to do that. Some of the best videos we saw were just people sitting down on their laptop, just filming like a 1 minute clip, who they are and what they do. So yeah, I think with the video, my biggest thing is obviously don't put pressure on it, because we just want to know who you are and what you're doing.
Perfect. Can I just quickly I saw some of the Q&As. Mark, I was really surprised at how few GLP-1 brands or impact of GLP-1s applied for Breakout Beauty. To me, it's a massive opportunity. So I think GLP-1 skincare does go into wellness. So do apply. Denise, I think I saw you guys on Instagram. It's great you've already got a TikTok shop agency. What we'll be focusing on in the session in the program is how to build communities, how to do TikTok lives better, how to set everything in place for your TikTok shop strategy. So if you've got an agency, brilliant. It means you're a step ahead. There's no treading on toes. I think there might be some things that you can take away. So that's cool. Don't worry if you're on one SKU. If you've only got 1 or 2 SKUs, that's fine. I think I'm really interested to know what the extension of those product lines could be, and does it make sense? So if you've got a lip balm SKU, a wellness lip balm SKU, terrible example. I'm keen to understand your application, like what the next 4 or 5 products could or should be, because that helps me make sense if they make sense. I think that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then anonymous attendee, yeah, that 100K isn't strict. It's a benchmark. Cool.
Well, thank you, Paul.
You're very welcome, Abby. Thank you very much, everyone. If you've got any more questions, please feel free to drop us an email, either Abby at Growth Studio or Paul at Growth Studio. Feel free to check us out on our Instagram, ask us a question there, just get in touch. The applications are the 18th of August. Yeah. Make sure your application is in well before then. We are going to start assessing the applications now, just because there'll be a few of them. So if we've got any questions on it, it just gives us an opportunity to ask those questions. So apply.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.